Here we have the skeleton in the anatomical position. Starting at the top, this is the elbow area, and looking here on the lateral side of the radius, we have the lateral collateral ligament. Goes from the lateral epicondyle to the radius. It is called the lateral collateral ligament of the elbow, or the LCL of the elbow, or the radial collateral ligament of the elbow. Now, on the medial side here, I'm going to turn this humerus so you guys can see it better here. Okay, we are looking at the medial epicondyle right here. This is the medial epicondyle. So, attached to the medial epicondyle, we have two ligaments. This first orange one goes from the medial epicondyle to the coronoid process, and it is called the anterior cord-like band of the medial collateral ligament of the elbow. That is the orange anterior band right here. Okay? Next to it, we have the blue. This blue right here is called the posterior fan-like band of the medial collateral ligament of the elbow, or of the ulnar collateral ligament of the elbow. Okay? It looks like a fan. Now, for the red underneath, that is called the oblique band, and it goes from the olecranon process in the back. Again, remember, I have turned the humerus out in a weird angle. Okay, so the hand is like that, so that you can see the medial epicondyle. Okay, so the red is the oblique band, so it goes from the olecranon process to the coronoid process, and it would be oblique band of the medial collateral ligament of the elbow. Next to the oblique cord, this pinkish color around the head of the radius is the annular ligament. This is the annular ligament. This orange right here, I'll show you from a posterior view, but this orange right here is called the quadrate ligament. This is the posterior view. We have the quadrate ligament also, the front and the back. It's kind of hard to tape, but this quadrate ligament should actually be sitting in between the radius and the ulna, deep inside there. It should be sitting underneath the annular ligament. Right here, this green, we have the oblique cord. Goes from the coracoid process to the radial tuberosity, because this is the ulna here, and we have the radius right here. All right, now moving down the arm, down the forearm, we pass the oblique cord. These gold tape represent the interosseous membrane, okay? It connects the radius and the ulna together, right there in the center, by the borders, okay? So the radial, this medial border right here on the radius, and this lateral border here on the ulna, they are what the interosseous membrane connect on. Moving down distally, we have this red right here. This right here is on the palmar side of the hand. Okay, this is our palmar side in anatomical position. So this will be called palmar radial ulnar ligament. okay, because this is our radius and this is our ulna. So this is palmar radial ulnar ligament. Turning it on the back side, we also have a dorsal radial ulnar ligament, okay? This red right here. Before moving on to the ligaments of the wrist, I want to show a ligament that would be underneath these wrist ligaments. So we move over to this arm here. This is our other arm. And underneath our radius and ulna, we have our triangular ligament. Moving on to the wrist, we have wrist ligaments here. All right, so this is our thumb over here, our thumb. So this is our radial side, our radius. So moving on this side right here, this green is our radial collateral ligament of the wrist. On the other side is pink. We have our ulnar collateral ligament of the wrist. They surround the wrist on either side. We have this blue and yellow not only on the palmar side, but we also have it on the dorsal side. So on the palmar side, we have this blue one called palmar radial carpal ligament. It attaches the radius to the carpals. On this yellow side, this yellow ligament, it is called the palmar ulnar carpal ligament. So this is the dorsal side. And so that blue will be the dorsal radial carpal ligament, and the yellow will be our dorsal ulnar carpal ligament. Moving on to our hand ligaments. So these dark blue ligaments are connecting all of our 8 carpal bones all together. So on this palmar side, these dark blues are called palmar intercarpal ligaments. When we turn it on the back side, these are called dorsal intercarpal ligaments. These intercarpal ligaments go on top of the carpal bones, not only on the palmar side, but also on the dorsal side. If I was able to tape ligaments touching in between each carpal bone, like almost inside this crack right here, those would be called the interosseous intercarpal ligaments. So number 1, the palmar intercarpal ligaments, they go above each carpal bone. And then number 2, the dorsal intercarpal ligaments go underneath each carpal bone. Then number 3, interosseous intercarpal ligaments. Those will go in between each carpal bone. Moving on to the hand model. This is a left hand. We have our proximal view, distal, our lateral, medial. This is our anterior or our palmar side. And then we have our posterior or our dorsal side. Now, these blue tape right here, those are showing what I just showed on the other model, which are the intercarpal ligaments. Since this is our palmar side, we have again palmar intercarpal ligaments. They go over and attach one carpal bone to the next. Now these pink ones are called carpo-metacarpal ligaments. They attach the carpal bones to the metacarpals. So we once again, this is our palmar or anterior side. So we once again have palmar carpo-metacarpal ligaments. And we have some on the dorsal side. So the pinks right here, dorsal carpo-metacarpal ligaments. We are once again on the palmar side. Moving on to the green ligaments. The green ligaments are called intermetacarpal ligaments. They connect the metacarpals in between each metacarpal. So once again, we have the palmar side. So these are called the palmar intermetacarpal ligaments. The green tape. Turning it on the dorsal side, we have the dorsal intermetacarpal ligaments. Now, for both the carpal metacarpal, the pinks ligament, carpal metacarpal, and the intermetacarpal ligaments, those all do the same format as the intercarpal ligaments, where they have a palmar side, a dorsal side, and also an interosseous side. So once again, looking at the carpal metacarpal, we see here again, the palmar is number 1, we have the dorsal side number 2, and we have the interosseous carpal metacarpal number 3. And moving down to the intermetacarpals, which were the green on the hand, we again have a palmar, which is number 1, we have a dorsal, and then we have the interosseous intermetacarpal. Okay, so we have our palmar side here of the hand, the left hand, and these yellow ones right here are called our palmar metacarpal phalangeal ligament. Metacarpal phalangeal ligament. Palmar ones, okay? Here, 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 and here. Okay? These blue on the side right there, these dark blue, right here on the side of them, it's all along here, and then right here. Okay? All of those are called collateral metacarpal phalangeal ligament. All these right here. Collateral metacarpal phalangeal ligament. Then this orange right here is called the transverse metacarpal ligament. It goes on top of the heads of the metacarpal, and it is also on the palmar side. Moving up, I'm going to do fingers 2 through 5 first. So, right here, we have our palmar proximal interphalangeal ligament, okay, right here. Palmar proximal interphalangeal ligament. And then these red right here, okay, the red are our collateral proximal interphalangeal ligaments, because they are attaching the proximal phalanx to the middle phalanx. Moving up, or more distally, we have these little distal phalanx. Now, these pinks right here are once again the palmar distal interphalangeal ligament. Palmar distal interphalangeal ligament, okay? That's those right there. Then the blues on the side, right here, on either side surrounding that joint, is the collateral distal interphalangeal ligament. So those surround the DIP joint, and then we have these red ones surrounding the PIP joint. Then moving on to the thumb, this right here, this gold, the palmar interphalangeal ligament, because this right here is the interphalangeal joint. We had here the proximal interphalangeal joint and the distal interphalangeal joint. This one is just interphalangeal. All right, and then these blue on the side, over here and over here, that is called the collateral interphalangeal ligament. So anything on the sides of the joints are collateral, and since this is the interphalangeal joint, it is collateral interphalangeal ligament. And that concludes the hand ligaments.